to offer your own ideas about what sort of methods would work. How would you do it differently? How would you want to teach it? I've seen some really good ideas around how you would teach self-reflexivity, but I don't think we've started to really dig into, okay, exactly how would I teach this? Would I need to break them into small groups? How many people would it be realistic? This will also kind of help us start to shape our thinking around the proposal and some of the specifics I'm looking for in there. So take a look at my exercise, and you're welcome to use it and make it your own, and also come up with some creative ideas or exercises you've seen or participated in that you think would work to help understand dialectics. Oh, and then the last thing that is one of our discussion options for you is to have a discussion about where you would place yourself on these various dialectical scales. And you can use any of the ones in our reading, or if you are aware of different dialectics, you're welcome to do that too. I mean, a couple of others that I don't think are really focused on in our reading. One is even relationships between the sexes or genders. That can fall on a dialectical scale, as well as specificity and diffuseness. This is another communication aspect where some cultures tend to want to be very specific in the way they communicate, and others value this kind of diffuseness, bringing in a lot of emotions. It kind of ties into, again, the high context, low context, but it's slightly different. So you're welcome to look at those dialectics as well. And look at that as also, how could you do this in a training setting? One thing I've done with students before, or my learners before in a training setting, is I will map various dialectical spectra on the board and have them all come and mark where they go. And this has been particularly interesting. I had one group that half were from China and half of them were from the United States. But even though in our text and in our traditional ways of thinking, we would put Asian people on a more high context and US Americans on a lower context scale. But when we actually did this exercise, we realized that we were all over the place. It didn't matter who was from China. And so we had to talk a little bit about how it's relative. Everything we would put in or wherever place we would put ourselves on these scales is just dependent on what we're talking about. Are we comparing ourselves to other Chinese people? Or are we comparing ourselves to other US Americans? Or are we comparing ourselves to somebody in a different culture? So that can be an interesting exercise to start discussing those things, and also kind of breaking down the rigidity of some of these spectra as well, saying, it's maybe not so simple to say, oh, so you are from some part of Asia, so you are high context, so you are collectivistic. It's really not that simple. So let's have an interesting discussion and dig into those different dialectics in that discussion board this week. Otherwise, don't forget that your proposals are due at the end of this week on Sunday at midnight. I'm looking forward to seeing those. Please ask any questions or brainstorm any ideas you have in the question discussion area, or you're always welcome to email me specifics, or I'm always willing to have a call as well if you'd like to brainstorm that way. And that's all I have. Let's have a great week, and I'll see you online.